we're all Christ followers here on stage, and like everybody that's been on stage here tonight, and like a lot of people that you're surrounded by here, we're followers of Christ because of what Christ has done in our lives and in our hearts. But for a lot of us, it probably started at a young age. I grew up in a Christian home, and that's just kind of the journey that God had me on. You might think that is a good thing. You might think that's a bad thing. But for me, it was a little bit of both. If you're a Christian here tonight, you can understand what it means to grow up in the church. Growing up in the church doesn't necessarily mean that you grab hold of who God is and what He can be in your life at an early age. It just means you know a lot about who God is. You know a lot about God. You know all the ways that you can kind of get through youth group and Sunday school and adult Sunday school and church without really ever having to engage your mind. And for me, I became a professional at that game at an early age. I was great at kind of faking my way through church, through relationship, without ever really biting down on what it meant to know God and be in a relationship with God. And I'm sure there's people here from all ends of that spectrum, but the good news is that God says in His Word that He knocks on the door of our hearts until the day that we die. And there's always that chance to say, God, I've been living my life for myself, and I want to give it up and live it for You. Until you're on your deathbed, drawing your last breath, God's grace and God's goodness is big enough to cover anything that you've done in your life. And like I said, for me growing up in that, I kind of took it for granted, and it wasn't until about halfway through my teenage years that I really knew what it was to know who God could be in my life. It was any old typical Friday night, and for whatever reason, God just started to convict me and speak to my heart and let me know that I've been walking a path that wasn't what He had set out for my life, the way that I was meant to live. I've been building up walls around my heart and my life. I've been playing the game, and it was time to get real before God. And I don't know where you're at tonight, but maybe tonight is sparking an interest in you to get real before God. Maybe you played the same game. If you're like me, your life has this way of falling in line with a really predictable pattern, where you run away from God and you fight for your own independence, and you rebel against the things that you know have been put inside of you for His good and for His plan for your life. You've spent more time as the prodigal son than you'd ever like to admit. But I want to tell you, the good news is it never has to end with you running. The Bible says that God will pursue us no matter how far we run, no matter how deep we sin, no matter how habitual the things we do are. If it's for the 100th or the 1,000th time, the grace of God is bigger than your problem or your addiction or your sin. Yeah, sure. And this is a song about coming back to that place where I'm getting real and right with God, because there's no other place in my life that I've ever experienced where I know what it's like to really be alive, to experience that for which I was created, to be in just honesty and realness with God is an amazing thing. That's what this song is about. It's called Alive in This Moment.